All right, guys, from the fridge, gonna grab myself something a little bit more unusual today, and that is tomato water. So, hot day, decided I wanna make my own ketchup. I use this stuff all the time. It's really the byproduct or the leftover of what's in the can of tomatoes after I'm done straining the tomatoes off. Use it all the time. Really, this stuff is made up in two parts, really. So there's the top part, which is the water, and then the bottom part, which is the sediment after it's done settling. But I use this stuff everywhere. I'm going to show you guys different applications to use it at some other point right now. But we're going to make some ketchup. So this stuff is really almost like making a French gastrique, if you've ever heard of that sauce, which is just 4 ingredients. Those 4 ingredients are the tomato water, sugar, salt, and vinegar. And today, it's really just kind of about making that gastrique or that sauce. It's almost like a coulis, but you're gonna put it all in, you're gonna boil it down, you're gonna probably reduce it by about a quarter or so, and that'll leave you with really good tomato ketchup. So first things first, we're gonna grab a pot and turn it on to high heat. You wanna use something that's a little bit wider on the bottom, and that'll help you kind of boil it down, and the flames will reduce it a lot more. But you're gonna wanna get that liquid into there once the heat gets on. Don't worry too much about, you'll see the kind of bottom of it kind of went in there and the top went in. You don't want to strain any of that off. It's all good anyways. It's all flavor. It just does separate. So that is about 500 mils of tomato water out of 2 cans. To that, I'm going to add about half of a cup of sugar. So half a cup is, again, 125 grams, 125 mils if you use a measuring cup. I want to grab a good vinegar. This one here is red wine vinegar. You could really use white balsamic. You could use red balsamic, but that's going to change the color a lot if you use dark balsamic. But you could use, again, champagne vinegar. But I'm using red wine vinegar here. So, but to the pot, you're probably going to want to add about 2 ounces of that. So 60 mils if you have a shot glass. You're going to notice that with the tomatoes themselves, the tomatoes are quite acidic already. Also, the tomatoes are quite sweet already. So don't deviate too much. But the ratios are really about 8 to 2 to 1 of tomato water to sugar to vinegar. So I'm gonna let that reduce. It's gonna be about 20 to 25 minutes. It's gonna go down quite a bit, and then I'll come back and show you guys where it's at. So it's been going on for about 20 minutes now, just a little over 21 minutes. And as you can kind of look inside, you'll see that it's reducing quite a bit. It's not bubbling the same way that it was when it was boiling, and that's because really the sugar is starting to caramelize now. There's less water in it, so it's evaporating at a different rate. But when it's hot, it's going to look a lot different than when it cools down. It's going to be a lot more liquid right now because there's a lot more sugar in there. But if you look at the sides, you'll see that a lot of that sugar kind of went up the sides, caramelized because the flames were licking the side of the pot. If you just kind of want to get that stuff off before you clean it, it's very simple. But it really is just caramelized sugar on the side, so don't worry too much. But if you just kind of tilt the pot forward like this, you're going to notice that all of that acid inside of the tomatoes and inside of the vinegar is going to take a lot of that darkness away. And that was really, again, just caramelized sugar on the side. So it's almost like burnt sugar. It's not really going to affect the taste of it much. But by doing that as well, when you go to scrub the pot out, you're going to notice that it's going to scrub away pretty cleanly. So if you look at the bottom here, it is obviously a lot thicker than what it was when it started. It doesn't look like a clear liquid anymore. It is still very runny, and you're going to be like, oh, how is this ketchup? But if you transfer it into a jar, get it cool. You want to kind of cool it down at room temperature first because it's going to be steaming, but you want to get it into a jar, cool it down at room temperature, stick it in the fridge, and once it gets into the fridge, you're going to notice that it's going to get a lot thicker. So let's just get it into the jar. We'll see how much it reduces by. Remember, we had a full jar of tomato water, and plus the half cup of sugar and the vinegar, you're at about 1.5 of those jars, and now you're down to a half a jar. So we've reduced it by about 1/3. So again, just put it on the counter. wait till all of the steam goes away, and then you're going to be able to move it into the fridge and let it cool down the rest of the way. And I'll show you guys what it looks like at the very end, because it's super tasty stuff.
All right, so it's sat for about an hour now in the fridge, and you can kind of see that it's I've taken a little bit out, so the sides are a little bit messy, but when you put it in, it gets a lot cooler, and I've taken some out here just to kind of show what the consistency looks like. And what really it is at the end of the day is it thickens up quite a bit. So you can kind of see on the spoon there that when you put it in, it stirs around just like ketchup. It may be a little bit thinner, but it spreads around a lot, and it doesn't have any stabilizers or anything like that regular ketchup does. So try this recipe out. Let me know what you guys think. Again, I know that ketchup is probably one of the cheapest things you can buy in store, but if you're already using it and you're already throwing out that tomato water, try to make something different. And I guarantee it's going to taste way different than the ketchup you buy in the bottle, and it's going to elevate those burgers and those other things, hot dogs, that you put your ketchup regular on. So subscribe, like. I'm going to do more videos like this, and just make sure you follow me. And again, thumbs up. Thanks a lot.